Hello and welcome to another edition of Keystone Copycats with Chris and Zach. I, of course, am your host, Zach, and he, of course, is your other host.
Fancy Chris.
Fancy Chris?
Yep, I got my fancy shirt on, the one you can see my nipples through.
Yeah, it's just a black t-shirt. How fancy is it?
It's tight. So anyone that's
Sick.
that knows style knows that you wear shit tight. That's fancy.
Yeah, that's why all fat people, such as myself, are very fancy.
That's how I've described them all these years.
Yeah. You're like, oh, my fancy friend.
Fancy fatties.
He's a real tubbo.
I've never said tubbo. A little back.
I say it a lot.
A little backstory on Zach's wedding day was so good. He was putting on his clothes like, what are you wearing? He goes, he's like, no, I'm wearing a couple shirts. I was like, why? He goes, so I don't look like such a tubbo.
No, I bought this like.
That's how he said it, was tubbo.
I bought this like compression shirt to like wear under my like nice dress shirt. Because I'm a tubbo, but like also
it's called a boytle.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it's from Bob's Burgers.
No,
I don't think it's a real thing. I don't think it's a real thing. Teddy bought one though. No one's wearing it.
Hot. No, I lost like 40 pounds leading up to my wedding, and the sole well, I gained it all back and probably more.
Me too.
Anyways, so the sole reason was because like I kept telling people I don't want to look like the penguin up there. Like I can't do it.
You looked good. You looked good.
I agree.
I agree. I looked good. It was that blue suit of yours.
You looked like you were gonna beat me up in the parking lot.
That's because I had my bald head.
I know it was.
And I had
terrifying.
I had another 15 pounds onto my chubbiness that I have now.
He was jacked.
Fat.
So, hey there, buddy.
Hey, you look so good. I didn't look so good then. I'm not too bad. I have something to talk about, but I guess I can't talk about it. And I got something else to talk about. I don't know if I can talk about that. What do you got?
Cool.
Well, one of it is I realized I missed my fucking appointment today. The thing you told me not to do about the therapist. What do you?
You're a jackass.
No, I'm pretty good about it. I mean, we might as well talk about it now. I was basically to fuck with my friend who's going to a therapist. He was talking shit on the phone, so I was trying to figure out a way to get him back. So I was going to follow him to his therapist appointment, figure out what therapist he had, and then make an appointment, and then just talk about how we were secret lovers and he wouldn't, love me back. Basically just sabotage his actual life until Zach said, hey, that's not a good idea.
So what I said was maybe instead of making a fake therapy appointment, you should make a real one for yourself.
That's not getting him back, though. It's sassy talk.
Getting yourself back.
It's getting my self-assistance.
That's right. And that's what you need.
I'm reluctant. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing.
What did you do today?
Not good.
Why? You didn't get some kind of procedure yesterday?
Yesterday I got my second COVID shot, and my arm was very sore. Sure.
It was sure. It was surely sure.
It was Dinah Shore. That's like a 70-year-old reference.
Okay.
No, I got my second COVID shot yesterday. My arm was sore. And that's most of what it was. But like towards the end of the day today, I started feeling like real run down. So I'm like, God damn it. But aside from that,
how's your mustache feeling though?
Oh, it's glorious. You hear it?
Growing it out. Does it ever get stuck on the mic? Because mine does now. Because mine's white. We have about the same length mustache.
No, I don't get that close to the mic.
Oh, I'm right up on it.
So when I legit when I sing, my mouth is on the microphone and I'm like just spit everywhere. But when I'm talking, I like to keep a little further back, give it a little more room presence on my voice.
Okay. Why did you tell us about the spit?
Because it's part of it,
Hey.
Some people's weirdo podcast fetishes. This is the second time you've made that joke to me in the past 2 days. Might have been twice today.
It's just one of those things. It's like you don't have any control over it.
Joke.
It's like when someone says my wife and you have to go my wife.
My wife.
It's a rule.
Legally.
Yeah.
Legally required.
It's nothing about what you want to do.
No.
Or if it's classy or well timed. You just got to do it.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
That's what I was thinking.
We're slaves to the I
don't know how you're going to end this, and I am probably going to cut it.
To the wage. You get it? Because that rhymes.
No, I quit my job, remember?
Oh, shit. Hey, do we watch some stuff this week?
We did, and actually, this is another, obviously, like we told you last week.
Say bonus. Say it like that.
It's a bonus.
Oh, we're DJs
Was that
now.
good? Don't say we're DJs. I'll start getting on the sound drops. I'll start doing the sound pads.
This is the final bonus.
Yeah, this is the last bonus episode, and at the end of this one, we're gonna tell you what we're doing for season 2. Are you stoked?
I could be.
I mean,
yeah, I'm really stoked. What are we doing,
I was really
Zach?
like talking to the audience and not you, the person who's like my podcast partner and knows what we're doing.
You looked me in the eye. I got confused. This is like dog mentality.
Look, when we're here, that you are my like representative to the audience.
Here, I'll look over here.
No, the audience isn't paying attention now.
No, I told them.
Looking away. Oh, no.
They're always listening to me, you stupid
Man,
idiot.
we suck.
Stupid face.
Anywho.
Ooh, you handsome face.
So our other 2 between season bonus episodes, we did something a little different. We had guests on, and we had them determine which of a parallel thought movie was better. We each argued a side.
Since they got to judge us, can we have the audience judge them? Like, which one was the better judge? Can I ask you guys to write in and tell us which one you liked more?
Yeah, keystonecopycats@gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us who you like more. I'm not going to read them.
Or you can send us a picture on Instagram. Like,
of yourself?
At Instagram / whatever the address is.
At Keystone Copycats on Instagram.
Yeah, you just go right there. Why are you
giving out all the plugs at the top of the show?
You just go there. I'm telling you. You just drop an image. You can do it. Feel free. Zach, how did you feel about the first movie that we haven't introduced
So
yet?
the movies that we're doing for this week, I didn't need to introduce them because they listened to last week's episode, obviously, so they know what it is. It's The Illusionist and The Prestige, both from 2006.
Hooray.
The first movie, let's talk about The Illusionist first.
Well, we're switching it up. We don't got a judge. We don't have
a judge. And it will become clear, but the reason that we don't have a judge is that neither one of us wanted to argue for one of these movies because...
Yes, Prestige is better. Well, were you getting to something?
I said it would become clear like throughout the episode, but not like immediately following, like you just spoiling it.
Listen, there was no way I was going to get through...
In my mouth.
There was... Oh, well, you must be singing. There... Oh, no, it's because you're not singing and ejecting it. No, it's because there's no way I'm going to talk about either one of these movies without just going on and on about how much I love The Prestige, because it's 100% my top 5. Top 5 of all time.
Same.
Favorite movies.
And, okay, here's the thing. Here's something that I will say right off the bat, is that if The Prestige didn't exist, The Illusionist would be a great movie.
Yeah. Now, I backed that until I watched it again, because this is only the second time I've seen it. I saw it after, like, a year after it came out, like when I was still having to rent movies from the library. Like when I would just go in and be like,
"What's I bought from Blockbuster?"
I was like, "What's the library recommend this week?" like that's how old we are.
They're like, "How about a movie about magician?"
Mm-hmm. So I watched it. I'm like, "Oh no, this is a great movie." And then you introduced me to The Prestige. Yeah. Way later than that. So and I loved that.
The story behind The Prestige is we went to see Inception in the theater. Mm-hmm. So it was 2011. And we're watching it. It's great. We loved it because we love Christopher Nolan. We get out of the movie, and you're going on about how great it is. And I said, oh, yeah, it's really great, but it's not The Prestige. And you're like, what's The Prestige? And I was like, oh, dude. So we lived together at the time. We went back home. We watched The Prestige. Your head exploded all over my room. I had to clean it up. Then, like 2 hours later, you came back upstairs and were like, hey, can I borrow that movie? I want to watch it again. Yeah, and then you watched it again immediately.
Then I watched it in the basement. And were you joking around when you said there's a tagline that says you'll want to watch it again?
No, I wasn't. I was looking at the DVD cover and it said that. And I was like, did you write this?
Yeah, I went back in time with my time loop knowledge.
I did. When The Prestige came out, one of our friends, actually you and I were on a road trip going up to Pennsylvania to see a band do a CD release show, which was a lot of fun.
Doesn't sound like me.
You just tagged along.
Oh, I slept in the back. That's right.
I cannot talk. We tried to listen to that Chuck Palahniuk book that was bad.
Oh, Haunted?
Yeah. But I got a text about this movie. This is my first impression of this movie, and I didn't see it in the theater. I didn't see it for a couple years still. But basically, the text said, if you see one movie this year, make it The Prestige.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, and you should.
Honestly, they were right.
But going back to The Illusionist, it just didn't hold up as well as I recall. And maybe that's because I've watched Prestige at least 50. I think I've seen it at least 50 times.
So
that might be an undercall.
But really, okay. So I've got a lot of notes about parallels between the two movies, and
I didn't do any parallels.
It's all parallels. That's like all the notes I have is like parallels.
I mean, Edward Norton, he was the Hulk.
He's in both the movies.
And Christian Bale was like Batman, like once or twice or something. So like they were like superheroes, I guess. That's parallel.
That has.
Is that what you're getting at?
Movies. No.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're getting at because Hugh Jackman was Wolverine. Oh, I get it.
You got there. Finally.
They're all in Scarlett Johansson.
You got there.
She was. Oh, I get it. I get it. Jessica Biel wasn't shit. Now she might have been. Was she in Daredevil?
Oh no, she was in Seventh Heaven.
That's
what you were thinking of.
She was the bad sister.
Was she?
I don't know.
Ashley Simpson was the bad sister.
I didn't really watch that show. I don't know.
Didn't the dad on Seventh Heaven turn out to be a pedophile?
I don't know. I thought we were talking about
kids.
comic book superheroes.
I mean, I don't know that
Was he
being
the
a pervert is a superpower. Like,
if you do it right.
We have different views.
Wink.
No.
All right, so
if you're interested in being my new co-host, just email Keystone Copycats at gmail.com.
Look me in the eye when you say shit like that. So I'm gonna do the synopsis because these ones are easy.
Give us a synopsis.
Actually, the Illusionist. A magician uses his abilities to secure the love of his life. About a woman. Oh fuck! I didn't even write this right.
You didn't write that.
I messed this up. Hang on. Can we do another one?
I guess. I mean,
I gotta read the same thing, so I'm hoping to God I do it better.
I'm not gonna cut it.
A magician uses his abilities to secure the love of a woman far above his social standing.
That's right. Yeah,
that's what
I had read that, and I thought that's the synopsis for this movie.
That's what I chose. It's IMDb too. I'm like,
IMDb has some weird synopses.
Yeah, I thought I was reading it wrong and realized nope, it's just odd.
Yeah, it's just
so
strange.
It's 19th century Vienna, and Edward Norton he's actually kick-ass apparently for the flashbacks.
Is it really?
Yeah. Did you not recognize him?
No.
It's the actor that plays Kick-Ass that got ripped for Godzilla.
He smoked a lot of weed?
Yeah, we just talked about him. No, he got jacked off.
He didn't.
Wow, and then he got busted. Yeah, well, in Kick-Ass, he got jacked off. So
I don't remember that part.
So anyway,
Kick-Ass actually would be a good movie for our next Between Seasons.
Okay.
Because there's another one that came out around the same time, and it was called Super, I think. It had Dwight Schrute in it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
Rainn Wilson.
I remember seeing it.
It's not very good.
I was trying to... I don't think it was that bad. I can't remember. But anyway, we're talking about a movie, dude.
Yeah, Kick-Ass.
I don't know.
So Kick-Ass stars Jim Carrey.
So
wait, that's Kick-Ass
so fucking, it opens up, and Edward Norton his character is friends with... what's she, a Duchess? Is that who Jessica Biel's character
Von
is?
Teschen. And I made the joke to my wife
about Duchess Von Teschen.
No, I didn't make
that's not a funny joke.
Far
but
more clever than what I said.
Oh, go.
Because I didn't hear what they called her. It was like mumbled initially, and I asked if she was Duchess Von Cheeseburger.
That's way better than Duchess. That's what I would be.
I was like, was her name Duchess Von Cheeseburger? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, you took this too seriously.
Why are you always doing an Ira Glass? Every episode you fucking do an Ira Glass
That's
impression.
what my wife sounds like.
That's not at all what Kristen sounds like. I've met her twice.
No, this is what she sounds like.
So anyway, yeah, they're like their friendship is not even allowed, let alone the love they have for each other. So I don't really want to do the backstory thing. You do it, and I'll chime in because
I'm super not interested in that.
The opening of this movie. I mean, he's 100%. Edward Norton's on stage, like adult. What's his name?
Eisenheim.
Eisenheim. And that's his stage name.
Yeah.
Eisenheim is up on stage and he's got his hand out and he's shaking.
He's sitting on a
and
chair.
You're like, oh, he's taking a shit. Like, there's no way. I know I'm lowbrow.
I remember thinking,
but
this
it does
movie was
seem
so
like he's
cool.
stressing to take a dump up on stage in front of all these people who were like, oh, gasping, like, what could happen next?
If anybody thought that they were going to
have him not take a dump on stage,
listen to this podcast and having not seen these movies and understand them, you're not going to.
I didn't understand what you just said. Were you trying to say spoiler?
No, I was saying like you need to have watched this movie before you listen to this because you're not going to get it.
Yeah, I think we've been over that. That's what when we gave them the names of the movies we were going to do. Like that was the to-do list. That was a honey to-do list to our audience.
Oh fuck!
And if you guys didn't do it, then we need to go to marriage counseling. Luckily, I don't have one recommended because I forgot to follow my friend to his counselor today. So that's kind of a come around.
Jizz around.
Wow.
So
wow. We're just switching hats today as far as the juvenile one.
Yeah, that's right. It's the COVID shot. It's the 5G in my arm. Here's some. So, like I told you, I made a lot of notes about parallels. So there is like structurally they tell both stories. Just give the Prestige synopsis as synopsis I want to two-hand these. I want to do them together.
It's pretty comparable. I think that one's even short. Let me flip the page.
I think they're both short.
Okay, it follows Angier and Borden, rival stage magicians in London at the end of the 19th century. And there's really not much more you can say for that.
Does the synopsis actually start with "It follows"?
I think that was the IMDb one, but it was mainly talking about it was talking about Nolan and the backstory.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, sure.
It was telling about how it's a Christopher Priest based off of Christopher Priest's 1995 novel, and talk about Christopher Nolan and his brother who wrote the script for it. So anyway, it kind of
and they write most of Christopher Nolan's movies. They write together.
I did not know that his brother wrote with him.
Yeah, the good ones are like him, and like I've heard. I haven't seen Tenet yet, still. And I've heard some bad things about the script for it, and it's apparently just a Nolan script or a Christopher Nolan script. I don't know.
The simplicity with that one I get because it really is just two magicians fucking with each other. That's another way you could describe this
for sure.
Other than that, it's just a competitive nature. Now it's obviously rooted much deeper when you find out the whole premise.
So
of the movie itself, but yeah, it's basically two rival magicians. That sums it up.
So both of these movies start. They do that movie trope where they start at
towards
the end of the story,
towards the end, yeah,
and then go back and retell it. Now,
I would say on stage, but Prestige isn't really on stage.
No, and
it's behind the scenes.
Prestige does it better. Like honestly,
yeah.
And this is the thing.
Prestige tells you Prestige starts off going, "Hey, we're taunting you right now. You could figure out the fucking twist in this movie
you watching closely?
Right now." And they even say, "Are you watching closely?" They're oh man. Such a good fucking movie.
Also, that's a thing that Christopher Nolan does. He comes back to it, and I think that's actually what got us talking about the Prestige. Is that he does it in Inception as well, where he's washed up on that beach, and the older guy, Ken Watanabe, old man Ken Watanabe, and that's like the end of the movie. And it's like for each one of them, it's not like the opening shot is the closing shot, but it is. This is the end of the movie, and you'll understand it the second time you see it. The first time, it's like a mystery, and it like teases you, and then,
So should we just spoil both movies now? Because I feel like it's gonna help definitely with the Prestige if we just tell the audience that. So I'm just gonna say the actor's name to make it easier.
Yeah.
So Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale have this rivalry, and they're back and forth. And what happens is there's this Hugh Jackman's wife dies because of Christian Bale's slip up in a magic act, and so they start this rivalry back and forth. Like Hugh Jackman blows his fingers off in a bullet catch thing
gone wrong,
and then
intentionally.
Christian Bale comes out with this great trick, and Hugh Jackman wants it and can't figure it out, so he sabotages him. And then Christian Bale retaliates and sabotages his trick. It's just back and forth. But at the end of it, what you find out is the way Hugh Jackman's like, no, there's some way I can't figure out his master trick. And what you find out is Christian Bale has a twin, and he's been secretly hiding him. So when he does the man in the box, and then his brother comes out the other one, that's actually the trick. And what's funny is the whole time, the engineer, the engineer. Is telling him, no, it's a double. And Hugh Jackman's like, no, there's no possible way. So Hugh Jackman goes to Tesla, which is so fucking good. It's David Bowie. And he has him create an actual transportation device that no one believes, where he actually clones himself. It's such a good movie.
This is such a complicated...
I feel like I'm butchering it, but
well, because the thing about it is, that's a movie that if you haven't seen it, you should not hear this. It's so good. It's like The Usual Suspects or The Sixth Sense, where the twist is important
So
to it.
So the twist is at the end is that, yes, they both have identical beings to pull off this trick, and both are maddening because Christian Bale's double life leads to his wife killing herself and his mistress leaving him, so he's completely depressed, and one of them gets hung for the murder of one of Hugh Jackman's clones. It's just fucking bonkers at the end, but it's such a good misdirect because it's funny because Christian Bale's brother, he like serves as his engineer, Alan. Yeah. He's in disguise, and once you find out, you're like, oh, that's clearly Christian Bale in makeup. But they do such a good misdirect of where they just show the Fallon character. It's almost like he looks bloated and pudgy. He looks gross, but you don't recognize him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me because I wasn't looking for it the first time.
I agree. I think that's right.
But there's so many hidden
the Illusionist
subtleties.
Does a similar thing where they have the guy who's like the coroner, and he has this fake beard in an earlier scene. And when they they do this thing where they show like all the stuff. They're like, haha, see, you should have figured it out.
You know what the Illusionist is
when it does that.
It's like and I didn't write down the director for the Illusionist.
Neil Berger.
It's like Berger caught a glimpse of the script. Like it's like they were at a party. he saw a glimpse of the script, like Nolan was scribbling down, and he like kind of looked over his shoulder and was like writing the cliff notes of what he saw, and then like did a quick version of the Prestige.
I wonder if like Ed Norton had like read both of those scripts and just picked the wrong one. You know,
was he offered this?
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I wonder. I wonder if those, because you hear that kind of stuff a lot, like Cop Out and the other guys.
So the thing I disliked about The Illusionist the second time, and the first time I watched it, I praised it. I was like, no, it's a great movie.
Because you hadn't seen The Prestige.
It's the end of this. I think they should have gone full blown. It's magic. And the end, like when he does,
when it's not, then you're well, then how did he do it?
Yeah, the orange tree reveal. Number one, the CGI is kind of crap. But like,
but I watched it on a DVD, so it still looked all right.
It doesn't age well. So the trick where he does one trick on stage, and it's early on, where he
grows an orange tree.
He cuts an orange in half, pulls a seed out, puts it in a pot, and then the tree grows and actually has oranges on it by the end of it, like it's a dwarf orange tree. And he throws it to the audience, and they eat it. And then at the end of the movie, he's like, here's the secret to the orange tree. And it's all like a mechanical thing. You're like, but that doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't look right.
You're like, no, that's clearly not what it was.
Yeah, so you're like, why didn't they just go the full-blown magic? Because at the end you find out he wasn't conjuring ghosts or spirits at the end. It was just one big...
but was he or wasn't he? Who were all those other people?
He wasn't. Remember, because of the projector thing they show on the projector, like here's a rough idea
of that it could have worked, but that doesn't. So
I don't. Here's the thing: they should have went full blown. Oh, he is a real magician, because in the beginning when they show he met this magician and there's lore behind it. That would have been better if it was like, oh no, this magician taught him real magic or gave him some kind of spell or charm or whatever.
What's really cool is that like. The Illusionist does the thing where like you think he's the real deal and can actually do the stuff, and then it turns out he can't.
He's not.
And the Prestige is you think it's all a trick and all this stuff, but it turns out that like Hugh Jackman goes to such lengths for his obsession that he actually does it and ends up killing himself every night.
And I'll say, like, it is a type of science that's not understood because Tesla invents it. Because Tesla invents it, so it's not magic. Cool. It's some kind of. It's the Batman quote. It's magic is just science we don't understand. I love that quote. So
I made a note that like it makes a lot of sense that after doing Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan would do another movie about a man who is obsessively driven after he loses somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Like Angier is Batman all over. He's this rich guy who's obsessed and has to like he's driven to these crazy ends that are not reasonable for any human, but like, you know.
And there's so many twists in this, like even just that he's Lord Coldlow. Like he hides. The funniest thing is Christian Bale hides his double identity the whole time. And at the end, so did Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman was pretending to be American. He was a British lord. He was a lord.
But he does
the whole
mention
time.
It. But he does mention it early on with the wife, which is really great. Like I changed my name so as not to embarrass my family with my show business. Like
exactly, it's misdirect. But you assume it's just they didn't want him to be a magician because it's kind of embarrassing or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't think, oh, he's a fucking lord, he's from London,
like a rich guy, and I don't know. I guess like,
well, one of the mysteries the whole time was how is he funding all this shit?
Yeah, and it was like for a minute I thought like, oh, you know, he's he's this successful magician, so he's made his money and he's smart with it or whatever. But then, like, you know, when he's funding Tesla, it's like, dude, this guy's
loaded.
He's loaded.
Yeah, because he travels by trains and has all his luggage and whatnot, and
has all of his fingers, unlike Christian Bale, who isn't
the
loaded.
The multiple. Well, I like that too. That Christian Bale, like. Obviously, the twins come from poverty, so they're doing this like they one of them wants the family life, but they came from poverty. They did this because they realized they could make a good living off it, and that's what they want to do to avoid the workhouses. Yeah. Because that's where remember he references later that he came from a workhouse, whereas Hugh Jackman had everything he wanted, and that's the climax of the end where he's it was the look on the audience faces. The reason that Christian Bale,
rich guy who's like, oh, I need to be loved and I need to be popular, but not for this.
It's interesting because Christian Bale goes, we did this all for like now we have nothing. We this whole competition led to nothing, and Christian Bale just wanted to live a life where he was successful because he wanted to feed his family. Where Hugh Jackman had everything, but he still had the desire. You know, he says it was the look on their faces when you could trick them. Like the world's really rigid and rough, but if you could trick them for 1 second, you got to see something awe-inspiring. It's really interesting how they come from two different platforms, but still cause their own demise.
It's a very interesting juxtaposition between those two characters and their motives, and how simple it is from the beginning, and how Michael Caine is right the whole time. He tells Hugh Jackman every time he uses a double. It's a double. He uses a double. He does the trick the same way we do. He has a double. And Hugh Jackman refuses to believe it because and there's a really great scene where Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman go to see this older Asian magician, and Hugh Jackman doesn't pick it up, but Michael Caine says, I'll give you time on stage in front of this guy if you can tell me how he does this trick. And Christian Bale sees it right away. He sees he's living the act. He's living the act because he relates to it.
The Asian guy isn't really feeble and old. He's pretending all the time. Like after the show, he's being helped out to his carriage, and he goes, "Look, this guy is decrepit." And Christian Bale's like, "No, this is the act right here."
Which
he's
is
pretending.
Such a great scene.
He's pretending, but also later on, when Scarlett Johansson goes to help him, and she goes, "I'm here to tell you his tricks." He goes, "Oh, you mean where he comes back in slightly more drunk?" Because he calls it because that's his. He already knows how to do it.
His bow, taking his bows under the stage, which is a great line.
So once again, Christian Bale calls it because he's living that life. So he already identifies.
He gets
with
it. He's so perceptive. He sees it all. He doesn't need someone to tell him Angier's tricks. He can figure those out on his own. Mm-hmm. But what Scarlett Johansson brings to him is she says, "Yeah, you can tell me how he does his tricks, but I can tell you why yours aren't working when you're better than him."
So can we switch gears a little bit?
Talk about the Illusionist a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't like those. I don't like those vignettes. I don't like.
Why?
Here's the problem. I really didn't like. I don't know. I felt like looking at the two movies, and this is I feel like I would have made the Illusionist.
I imagine you holding the DVD cases up at this point, weighing them out.
But I feel like I would have made the Illusionist. I would go to all the stuff of doing the color to make it look old, and the vignettes and all that stuff. That's oh, it's period, and try to do this and this, and then I would see the Prestige, and I would be like, no, mine is all facade. Mine is all stuff. It's all stuff that's designed to remind you of this thing, and it's very on the nose, but the Prestige just does it. It just lives in the world.
Are you telling me you would have made a shitty film?
100%. It's so we did a movie competition where
are you going to bring up winter film?
Of course I am. But we did this movie competition where we took basically second place, and in the screening order, as we were watching all the movies leading up to ours, there was only one that I thought was even close to ours.
Competitive, yeah.
And then ours played. It was better than all the other ones, and there was one left after us, and it was definitely better than ours. And I was like, oh, that's the one. That beat us. I thought we had it in the bag until I saw that one. And that's how I feel about the Illusionist versus the Prestige. Is you see the Illusionist, and you're like, this is so cool. It's got Paul Giamatti. It's got this great cast. It's got a cool story. It has the thing with the Crown Prince and the switcheroo at the end and all that fun stuff. And it's this is so clever and interesting. And once you see the Prestige, you're like, it's not clever and interesting. It's all very on the nose, and there's no there's no human drama in it. It's all, haha, we're going to trick this guy and get him to kill himself, which is like, yeah, okay, he's a bad guy, but also like,
I mean,
that was your plan, to get him to fucking kill himself?
That was a little bit. That was like second-degree murder.
Exactly.
Or what's the one below that? What's
manslaughter?
The one? Manslaughter,
But exactly, and that's where I'm like,
that was a little blackmail-esque.
the whole thing, yeah, exactly, and the whole thing where like, when you think Ed Norton can really conjure these ghosts and has this like thing from this like
they should have
trauma
left that, man. They should have left that.
That's such a cool thing. And then when you find out he didn't do it, then it's just like, oh, it's exactly
he's
like
a manipulator.
Christian Bale says in The Prestige when he's talking to Rebecca Hall's nephew the first time he meets him, and he says, never tell anyone how you do this. The secret is worth nothing. It's what you do with it and how you trick people, and that's where the value is. That's what has the interest. Once they know what it is, it's worth nothing to them anymore. Just like when he tells Rebecca Hall how he does the trick, and she goes, "Oh, it's really quite obvious."
Oh, it's quite obvious once you know.
And he's like, "Yeah, but it's still fucking dangerous." He's irritated because that's what he said, and it played out exactly like he thought, and they show it. It's so interesting.
One fun thing to do, and I've kind of overdone it, so it's not really mystery anymore, is trying to catch when you're watching The Prestige when it's. I assume that they took one of the brothers' name or maybe made a new name for both of them. What do you think? Because there's Alfred and Freddie. That's what I call him. Because there's Freddie, the one that's dating Scarlett Johansson, and then there's Alfred. I wonder if
he's the family man who loves Rebecca Hall.
What I'm thinking is because I don't think that they obviously didn't have social security numbers, but there probably was. You had to keep a name. I think that they probably took one of the brothers' name, and the reason that Freddie is so annoyed is because he had to take his brother's identity. So almost like he
sacrificed
lost
his own life.
And then his brother got the wife. Yeah, I think that's why he's more angry, and he's the one that acts out. He's almost like the little brother complex.
So he feels like even when he gets to be the professor or Borden or Freddie, because they would switch. Like, it doesn't work for him.
Every time they would do the trick, and the other Christian Bale goes in. And then Christian Bale comes out. That's when they would do the swap of the real life characters. Like in their real lives, they would become the other brother. I think the reason for animosity is because Freddy doesn't have a real existence. What do you think about that?
Living a half life. It's like Voldemort in Quirrell's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, it really is. They're sharing a body. They're sharing one life, and it's not enough. And that's where like I love all the little bits with like him saying like I don't know which knot I tied because maybe it wasn't him, and then even the stuff in the diary where it says I've argued with myself is so like,
and it's cool because in the diary that's how they communicate with each other because they can't talk openly to risk it. So the diary is more that they communicate with each other. So they write every single day in the diary so they know what the other one's thinking.
Well, and what they did, and so that they can like keep up that illusion of their life. Mm-hmm. Which is fascinating.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna jerk off over
this is such a good movie.
But anyway, what I was trying to say is that I like to try to watch a movie and figure out when it's Freddy and when it's Angier.
I did that.
I'm sorry, not Angier.
When it's Alfred.
Yeah, when it's Alfred. Because it's a tell because even though they're twins, like they're 100% two different people. Like you can tell by the mannerism that they're two different people.
Well, and if you watch the movie and never get the reveal that it's two different people, you'd be like, man, this guy's all over the place.
No, and that's what his wife goes on about.
So
it's like
she deal with that more than anybody.
and she kills herself because she can't keep up. So like the big thing is that when he says I love you, you can even tell sometimes he means it, sometimes he doesn't. And she calls him out on it.
And she says it makes the days when you don't so much worse.
Yeah, because she doesn't know what she's gonna get, and then
she doesn't know why. There's no reason to it. Like it's just like destroying this poor woman.
Yeah, and
Rebecca Hall, who we love.
Yeah, yeah. So,
and I hope we have another movie to do with her in it at some point.
So, yeah, I guess following up with that is, do you think Freddie ever fucked his brother's wife?
Yes, I do. Well, I don't know. That's
question
the thing.
Because you assume he's like they didn't get laid before his wife, right? So he just like this is probably the first lady. So like Freddie's.
Oh no, I disagree with that.
So Freddie's probably like, hey, let's try this out.
I think Freddie doesn't like her because he's always fighting with her because he's like, fuck you, I don't care. Like,
well, she's interfering with the business.
So I think when he.
I don't think he has.
Freddie is in the driver's
seat. I think he's loyal to his brother and wouldn't fuck his wife.
Well, but that's the thing. He has to also be loyal to the character and to
that's just a ploy so he can.
So what is he gonna? Is he gonna cause trouble in his brother's marriage if she's like trying to like?
No, he's like, I got a headache. I can't do it tonight. Every other night.
Could see my face for the reaction to that.
No, I think what he does is he pounds off right before he gets in bed, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry, I just pounded off." Like every other day, he's like, "Oh, sorry, you just missed me. You just missed."
Oh, I just pounded off.
Back to the Illusionist to keep up with some nonsense.
Yeah. I really like the music.
I very
in the
much am glad that I live in the time that I do because I don't know. There's no nice way of saying this. I would have 100% persecuted people during the Salem Witch Project. Like, yes, I will. I'm gonna hang and burn everyone here for black magic. Like, there's no way. If I lived in a time when it was okay to burn people at the stake, I would constantly be like, "Hey, listen, I don't understand what just happened. That fucking that's a witch. Like, that's got to be a witch."
All right, I've got a counter argument about the Illusionist. Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
Does the Crown Prince have a fake mustache over a real mustache? It's strange.
Like, that thing is too waxy.
Well, it was just like it looked stiff and fake, but you could kind of see real mustache under it. It's like he couldn't get a good enough one to do the curlies on the ends.
That's how you knew he was a bad guy, because anyone that doesn't, flaunt his real mustache, it has a false one, something's awry with it, the situation. So that's how I solved the mystery of, is this a bad guy or not? Not because he beat and probably killed one of his fiancées or whatever that was.
Yeah, pushed her off a balcony.
But because of the wax mustache.
So let me ask you this, okay? The rivalry between Angier and Borden, Jackman and Bale,
Wolverine and Batman.
Okay.
Batman. British Batman.
Their rivalry, their animosity all feels very earned. It feels real. It feels driven by real emotion and coming from a real place.
I know where you're going with this.
Ed Norton, Eisenheim, and the Crown Prince. It feels like the Crown Prince is against him from the go, just because the plot needs it to be. It doesn't feel motivated at all.
Yeah, but think of it like this: if Edward Norton came in here and put a sword, stood a sword up, and then it was your sword, and then you couldn't pick it up in front of a group of your friends, you'd be like, "I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch," and whoever he loves.
To him at the first show. The first show, when he met him, he was like, "Haha, we'll have you back, and we'll have some real things, and I'll tell everyone how you do it." And you're like, "Okay,
yeah,
but why?"
But once again, on top of that, let's imagine that it's your sword, and you're
no.
"Fuck, I really want
the sword
my
again.
sword back," and he's like,
He made him look like a bitch. I get it, but
And here's the thing.
But he started off at a 10.
And he does it, and he eventually lets it go.
And it gets a little shocked.
And he eventually lets it go. But yeah, kind of a little zap. And you'd be like, "I'm going to kill him and everything in his life." Well, that's what I would do. And then I'd burn him at the stake.
Which?
No, it is. It's dumb. It's dumb.
It's just unearned rivalry, just for the sake of having an antagonist.
Well, here's what they did to the Crown Prince, and obviously they do mention he has harmed a woman before. It's
all rumor.
They make you have to hate him for the ending. That's what I don't like about it. Is they're like, "Oh, look, he
wants to overthrow his father, the Emperor, and
that's his dad.
Yeah, and he is using her for it." And you're like, who cares?
I think they do.
Who gives a fuck?
Cliche attacks on him.
Yeah,
to make his character unrelatable, and you're like, oh, he's rich and he's trying to overthrow his dad and he hurts women.
But so
that means that when he is sabotaged later and kills himself, you're like, oh, then that's fine then.
So
that's
it's the opposite of a save the cat moment for him.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's unjustified.
But the thing exactly it is, and that's the thing is oh yeah, they have to make you hate him, but then at the end when you're like. Anyone thinking about anyone thinking for more than a minute about this movie is like, wow, man, they just made that dude kill himself. Yeah, he was a dick, and that's about the end of it. He was a dick.
Yeah, I mean, Edward Norton gets away with Jessica Biel at the end, and you're like, I hope they catch him. That's how I felt. I'm like, I hope they catch him and bring him to justice for what he did.
Yeah, I hope Edison tracks him down. Wait, that's not the same movie.
I love how Thomas Edison is and you've said this before,
he's
like a fucking gangster against Nikola Tesla.
He's like, I'd hate to see something happen to this laboratory.
Yeah, laboratory. But yeah, they kicking it. Oh,
fuck.
First off, David Bowie as Nikola Tesla. It's so perfect. And then Gollum as his assistant.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is great.
God, where were we? We need to talk about the Illusionist more. We need to spend more time on it. Paul Giamatti, he does a great job.
He's really good
as Inspector Uhl. A-U-H-L?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I try not to know their names.
I have a note in here, and it's at the end of the movie that says Paul Giamatti runs Knuckles first. I don't know how to explain it anymore. He runs like an orangutan, dude.
When he's chasing Ed Norton, and then at the end he realizes all the stuff, how he tricked him.
He smiles so big and comical. Like, imagine, make fists. Turn your knuckles towards the person you're walking towards, and then just walk like that. That's how he runs. He runs so awkwardly.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I disagree.
But Paul Giamatti, he has the biggest jack-o'-lantern smile at the end when all these realizations, like he tricked me. He took the jewels out of that sword and sabotaged.
It's like the end of Usual Suspects, where he's like realizing everything, and it's like, but it's not a good reveal.
Yeah, but instead of shock and awe, it's excitement, and you're like, I don't care. Like this makes the character
at a train station.
This makes Edward Norton's character shitty.
It makes him a fucking murderer, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna have this guy get killed and like basically ruin a person's life. Like, at best, I'm gonna ruin this guy's life because he was a dick. Like, maybe you don't be a dick too with the sword thing. You're right. Like, fuck him. He was a dick about it. Like, he came in cocky, acting like an asshole. Ed Norton did, and it's like, yeah, man. Like, I wouldn't like you either.
Yeah, Edward, I get it. Edward Norton.
You're absolutely right. You have to hate the Crown Prince. And at the end, when you find out that Jessica Biel's alive and he didn't murder her, I don't hate him. You know.
Mm-hmm. Edward Norton. Yeah, the characters are taken apart because they're of different stature. He's lowborn. She's highborn. And
been watching a lot of Game of Thrones, haven't you?
I just finished the fucking 8th season, and I didn't even hate the 8th season as much, just because it's Game of Thrones. So yeah, I rewatched the whole thing recently. So lowborn, highborn, and. So Edward Norton didn't get his way. Now here's the thing: he's very successful, and because he's not of what's Blue Blood?
I guess aristocratic blood.
Yeah,
but just like fucking leave Vienna, then, dude. Go somewhere else. Who fucking cares?
That's what I'm saying. Like he's is obviously very successful and can conjure coins whenever he feels like it. Apparently,
to give to those poor children.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, like, why do you have to steal her from him? Which is what he did. He 100% stole her from the Crown Prince. Like, she had the option.
You could definitely see that she's, like, not super into him, the Crown Prince, that is.
Yeah, but then she leaves him pretty easy.
Yeah.
She could have left.
Just leave then. Like,
because here's the thing. He didn't kill her. That was a ploy. She could have left.
I know.
So why do it?
Why get him super drunk? Why drug him? Why
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Drug.
Roofie him.
Roofie him.
It looks like he killed you?
So he didn't kill her. They make it look like he kills her when she could have left. She could have done exactly what she fucking did. Stand up to him, say, I'm not gonna wed you, and leave.
He might chase after her, but like hop on your fucking horse and dip, dude. Like, who cares?
Yeah, it was all unnecessary. So once again, it just seems like Edward Norton's character is a pouty child. Like, I didn't get my way, and now I'm successful, so I'm gonna outsmart this guy because I'm not of rich blood.
What sucks is like this movie gave me a real taste of like, oh, this like 18th century or 19th century magician shit, and I was like, yeah, not realizing that The Prestige was so superior and like actually an incredible movie.
Also, Edward Norton's a great actor. I love him. I hear there's controversy about working with him, and I mean, whatever.
Really?
That doesn't. I mean, yeah, on like how he sat through the edit on American History X. And the director said he would never work with him again. Like, put out anti-American History X like flyers or propaganda, but like before it was released.
Really?
Like, I don't want anyone to see this movie because Edward Norton had too much control over it. Anyway, being on the set of the Hulk, like, he was too complicated to work with.
I think Marvel was shitty about Hulk because they wanted more control.
I'm just saying that I get it. There's whatever. Yeah, there's controversy behind Edward Norton. I love him.
He's hungry.
I love him. I love him as an actor, and I can't remember what my fucking point was. Oh no, it was his accent. I don't think he landed it with his accent because it kind of came and went. There was one thing
because it was like British and he's in fucking Austria.
Vienna. Yeah.
Like,
it just didn't make sense. But he would be like, "Twy, Why would you speak to me this way? You're like, wait. You're like losing it mid-sentence. You're ditching that accent.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was like that. Like,
Wait,
midway
hang
through a
on.
conversant, he was just modern
governor.
English. Yeah.
Yeah, modern American.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
So here's some other parallels that I saw. All right. So there's obviously the magician thing. There's a fall from grace.
They were magicians?
Oh boy.
I missed it. I thought they were illusionist. Michael.
I knew one of us was going to do that, and I thought it was going to be me.
I also watched Arrested Development.
Oh, it's so good.
Watch it is what I said.
So they have like their fall from grace. They both kind of end up with that like the new theater, the thing where Angier has the new theater that he sets up for the Tesla machine when he wants to do his final thing. He gets the blind crew.
The 5G theater.
And the thing, yeah. And then he's giving everyone COVID shots. But then like for the Illusionist, he has the Asian crew, which is another like weirdly, it's like, oh, this is a group that can't talk about it. But then when Paul Giamatti's like, how does he do the trick? The guy's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, why'd you make him talk?
Why is he Asian? Like, what's the point of having this Asian guy if it's not that he can't tell? Like, wasn't that the whole point?
No, it's cheap labor.
I guess he's in that.
That's what they were.
suit.
That's what they were trying to tell.
But like
whoa.
Yeah. So there's all those different things, and then there's like obviously the rivalry.
I didn't
thing.
even catch that though, that they were using the Asian guys.
Yeah,
I like that, but
I
yeah,
noticed that
but you're right.
It reminded me.
But you're right. Once they do that, you're like, why did he speak then?
For what? Yeah,
they fucked that up.
Because I thought it was the same thing as the Prestige, where it was like we have these people who can't tell.
It's like if in the Prestige, if one of the blonde guys took off his eye patch, was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Like looked across the room.
Yeah,
and
it does look weird. You're like, what?
I wish they would have done that.
Yeah, that would make this perfect movie somehow better.
Is there any way that we can do that where I can just put in like a white contact lens and have an eye patch, and we just insert just me for a second, where I flip it open and like look across? It's at the trial. I saw everything. What were we talking about?
I think we were talking about the Illusionist, Michael.
I could have had 20 when the crown prince goes outside to fake kill Jessica Biel. There's his helper, his assistant, looking out the window, the chubby guy with the mustache, and they cut back to him 3 or 5 times of his reaction.
And he's like,
I could have used 20 more minutes of him going, oh, like
it's like in Red Dragon when Ray Fiennes is bounding up and down the stairs nude.
Exactly. He's
entertaining.
Luring through that window for so long, and they keep cutting back, and we're like, oh no, we got it the second time that something shocking has happened. This guy is witnessing it, and this is important later. And by the 4th time, you're like, no, we got it. This dude is looking out the window. It's understood. We can stop cutting back to him. Every time it's,
I like the part where he
I did
turned
a
into
ticker
a horse.
at the end of that one. What'd you say?
I said I like the part where he turned into a horse.
Which one?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
that one.
Yeah. That was funny, Zach.
So we didn't like The Illusionist as much as
Yeah,
we
we
liked
really-
The Prestige. That's what
God,
I'm
man, we
getting.
started off like these are both good movies. Like
No,
we
they
just
are. That's the
bashed
problem. Okay,
Illusionist.
so here's the thing.
What's the thing, Zach?
It's a pen. I was holding it up and saying, "Here's the thing." I didn't want to tell the audience, but it's a pen. Like they're like.
Say what you mean, Zach.
I'm gonna
fucking say it.
So I think The Illusionist is a good movie that makes a lot of bad choices.
Like the one, like
does a lot
something
of
you would
stuff
make.
that plays safe. Well, no, because I would be like, this is ambitious. I'm going to do this great thing, and then it's just.
Do you think
I half-assed it, or
I
like
think-
it didn't? I didn't go all the way for it. Like
I think on paper, the movie works more. What would you have done differently for The Illusionist to get it to work? Because once again, on paper, you're like, oh, cool, this is a nice switcheroo at the
I
end.
think it needs a rewrite where they have a real reason for the animosity between Eisenheim and the Crown Prince. And
I think the Crown.
I think the Paul Giamatti character has to have some genuine conflict where, like, it's not just, oh, the evidence is showing me. I think he needs to have some, like, connection to Eisenheim where it's pulling him apart. I think that's a more, like, compelling story.
I think the easiest thing to do is you make the Crown Prince. Well, I want to go back to Game of Thrones. You make the Crown Prince more creepy. You make him more like a Ramsay, where he's like in his face, like, I know your tricks. Where it's more like he's gonna harm this girl, and like it's like a sadistic game he's playing.
Well, no, but even like when he first sees him and he's like, "Oh, this is how you do it." This and Ed Norton goes, "That's a way that you could do it." Like, I want him to figure some of the stuff out. I want him to be like a worthy adversary, you know? I want him to be that guy who can figure it out, which is
Edward Norton is very calm the whole time. Like, he has an ace up his sleeve.
Well, but it's funny because that is what Hugh Jackman is. He's this royal, he's this like aristocratic guy, but he is that good. He looks at it and he goes, "Oh, this is what they're doing." And he figures the stuff out. He has the goods, you know, that the Crown Prince doesn't.
I just think that if you, yeah, you're right, adding more drama, but I think if you made it seem like there was more cause for concern for Jessica Biel's character, and that there was more concern from, instead of Edward Norton just being like, I want the girl, and I'm kind of concerned, but not really, because they kind of have their little bickering moment. If you make it more like he's really worried about her, and there actually is some kind of trauma that happens. Or maybe
if there's like a consequence for Paul Giamatti finding out that they like knew each other as kids, like if he has a way to like if he has like more stake in like hiding his identity, you know, maybe that's
and Paul Giamatti,
something.
The first time that they see each other outside the stage, Jessica Biel and Edward Norton, Paul Giamatti like calls him in because they're like, "We caught you talking to her in a carriage. What was going on there?" And it's like he's just a lackey at that point, which is kind of what he is as the inspector. But I understand that was politics. Like, you couldn't, that was unheard of. Like, you could get arrested for life if you were caught doing that with the Duchess. However, it's just
Duchess von Cheeseburger.
Duchess von Cheeseburger. It's just it wasn't enough. You're just like, okay, so that nothing happened, and then there's real consequences of this action. No, there should have been something else.
So obviously, you can see that it would have been very hard for one of us to argue for The Illusionist, but I thought it was really like important that we do it, because it is like, this is a great example of like, there were two ideas. One of them is incredible, and one of them is just okay, you know?
Yeah. If you eliminate the Prestige, then Illusionist isn't that bad. But I think
The Illusionist is a really good movie.
I still think something needs to change in it.
Well, it's like, and I'm not sure if I've made this comparison already, but it's Salieri and Mozart. Like, Salieri is a talented musician. He's like would be a great composer if Mozart, like the greatest musical genius of his time, didn't exist. You know,
I think if you would have made the Crown Prince more devious, more like, and instead of just, you shouldn't like him, you don't like him, and then you accept the full Edward Norton is a real magician, and that's real magic.
Yeah, where at the end that it wasn't.
I know I'm saying, you make him at the end real magic, and then so even if he is a scoundrel and tricks him, you go, oh no, he's corrupt. That's kind of a cool ending where you're like, all right, he got away. Also, all right, there it is.
If you're gonna make it so it's not real, like if he's not really conjuring spirits, like, okay, then show me how he did it. Show in that reveal where Paul Giamatti is like, you know, like splitting his face open with that grin. Like if in that sequence we see how he's setting
up a projector and paying all these actors to come on
and
or
like
whatever,
padding the box so you don't hear the sound of the film. Like there's so much stuff that's like, if you had done this,
it's wrestling. Also, they didn't do a proper heel face turn for both of them, which is what the ending is. It's one's the bad guy it doesn't become the good guy per se, and then the good guy doesn't become the bad guy. Just they become neutral, and you're like, no, you need a full switch.
Yeah, it's like, hey, there's gray area.
If you're gonna trick me, make it so we swap it.
So let me ask you this: he's not really conjuring spirits. What about the kid that runs out of the theater?
I'm blanking on it.
So there's a little kid that runs out of the theater and comes back in, and as he's coming back in, they feel it, and he's fucking ghostly, you know? He goes out, and he's ghostly. Does this guy set up projectors all over? That's where I'm like,
burn him,
you know,
burn him at the stake.
If you didn't do this,
that's how my answer goes.
Like, if it's not real spirits, show how it happened.
It was a moving projector. I don't know.
We don't have that today.
Yeah, we do. I can pick one up and just walk.
It showed up.
If you give me a long
Amazon order came?
If you give me a long enough cord, Zach, I promise I can walk. Yeah. I can walk that thing quite a ways, at least 50 feet.
But like, that's the whole thing.
It would be a projection of me too, so that's where it gets challenging. Is at what point is the projection of me
sexually
holding
harassing somebody?
the projected projector. Hang on, I just fucking had a fucking stroke.
Well, that's it for us.
If you put wheels on me, like roller skates.
No.
If
like
I'm wearing roller skates and I have a long enough cord and I don't trip over it, I could make it look like there's a ghost kid. Does that make sense?
No, because it's not true. But okay, so moving on. Like that is like the big thing. That I don't know. That's the big thing. That's like,
You're the big thing.
It comes close, but it doesn't get there. And it misses the mark by enough that you're like, man, this could have been really great.
It's like a gymnast who jumps off the thing and then doesn't stick the landing.
Man, I love that clumsy metaphor. Let me ask you this:
the thing, Zach, the thing. It's the
like
pommel
the
horse
gymnast that jumps off the thing and then doesn't stick the other thing.
It's like the guy who jumps off the diving board and then doesn't stick the dive.
It's the guy who does a thing that's like good partially, and then the end part is not as good. Maybe it's a movie. That's enough of this. When was CPR invented?
VCRs? What'd you say?
CPR.
Duchess von VCR?
Duchess von Cheeseburger. When was CPR invented? That's what I want to know. Because like...
Is that like Creedence Clearwater? I don't understand what you're saying.
CPR.
Oh, CPR, like how
Yes,
you revive
dummy.
people.
Yes.
Oh, I'm trained in that.
Same. But like Angier's wife, like they literally just watch. He literally just like shakes her face around a bunch and does nothing to try to
Well,
save
I think
her life.
she's already gone.
How? She was in there for a minute.
I don't know.
Like it didn't. It doesn't
Well,
make
longer
sense.
than a minute because it was a minute she's underwater and then to break.
I don't
the
know
glass.
if it's an actual minute, but like, yeah, no, you're right. But like, dude, he literally just like fucks with her face. That's all he does.
Well, it's important that she dies for the story.
It is, but I was wondering when was CPR invented?
I don't know. I'm sure that's something
Could you look it up?
Could go to fucking Google. I could. I won't.
Can you?
Because I think it's important.
I'll just go ahead and mute your mic until you get the answer for it.
You know what it was? Is that
Dick?
Deep down, Hugh Jackman knew that his father was embarrassed of him being a magician. He wanted him to be Lord Caldlow, like he becomes later. So he sabotages the water by adding a bunch of poison in it. So when Hugh Jackman pulls her out, he can smell the poison because that's something his father does all the time. He poisons his brides. So he's like, fuck, she's good and dead. There's no way I can revive her. I might as well hate Christian Bale forever.
So his wife just barely missed CPR. So this movie takes place in what, like 1870s, 1880s? Yeah. And like CPR was invented just a hair too late in 1960.
I like that CPR evolved from smacking in the face to chest compressions. Like that's.
I think it was less smacking in the face and more like trying to shape it out of Play-Doh.
I'm pretty sure.
That's what it looked like.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, at that point they were just praying the pain away, which is something we still haven't quite gotten out of.
Yeah, it's because it's right. It's because it works. Are you telling me that you're not a Christian Scientist anymore? Because I will find a new host for this podcast to replace me.
I remember when my mom was passing away, someone says, well, I'm praying for her. I'm like, okay.
Neat.
Thank you. That'll help you, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry to bring everyone down on that one. I just made me think of it. Well, what else do we have any other
talking about a movie that we don't like and a movie that we love?
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
We did it.
Do we have any other interesting footnotes here, buddy?
No, I think I'm good on my notes. Do you have
like a... Oh, I know. Like early in The Prestige, that judge, when he's like, during the trial, he's like, well, okay, so
tell us the trick.
Yeah, Christian Bale like clearly moved the tank so Hugh Jackman fall in and drown in it. And the judge and Cutter's like, ask him. He's they're like, how did he do it? And he's like, ask him. He's the magician. And the judge is like, I understand the predicament. If you reveal the trick to everyone, then it's not worth anything. How about you just reveal it to me? I'm like, dude, that judge just wanted to know the fucking trick.
No,
man.
because that's what so that's what Michael Caine says. And then the judge is like, yes, I understand that, but you could tell me.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's like, okay, no one can know. Except me.
Just step up and just whisper it in my little ear. Just pull my wig aside and whisper it in my ear.
Yeah, and he had that fucking Victorian wig on. You're like, oh, get the fuck out of here, bro.
I love the scene where Michael Caine...
he wrote a novel later about the reveal.
I love the scene where Michael Caine is whispering in the judge's ear, and like as he learns more, he just oh.
That did not happen.
What?
I have to tell
I
our
have a
audience.
special edition.
Oh, it was a DVD cut, huh?
It's 35 more minutes of judge reaction shots. Actually, it's just reactions. It adds reactions that you didn't think you needed.
So how would we make The Prestige different? We don't.
No, it's perfect. It's a great movie. It's so good. It's entertaining. It's smart. It's interesting, but it's also fun.
How do we make it worse then? We had Edward Norton's character at the end.
We had the Crown Prince for no reason.
Like stab Lord Caldwell when he's dying from the bullet.
And then he shoots himself in the head. Ah! And then Paul Giamatti's like face lights up.
No, that's the ending. It's when you see the last shot when you're seeing the hallway of all the Hugh Jackman drowned bodies. It's Paul Giamatti running through with excited he's understanding the ending of it. Ooh, I need a cigarette. I've been laughing too much.
Yeah, that's a thing people say.
Yeah, it's because it's like what I'm trying to compare it to. It's like sex, or like if you jump off the pole vault thing and like you almost stick the landing and like it's pretty. I thought you were gonna do the fucking laugh track.
Nope.
Or the boo track.
So we recently, I guess it was probably like 3 months ago when you're hearing this, but we recently did an episode of Sinclarity, A Dinosaur's Tale, and I used the applause button anytime someone said my name. It was fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, we fucking sucked on that that episode.
Yeah, so that's season 2, episode 23, Leader of the Pack.
That episode sucked too.
It was bad, but we don't need to talk about dinosaurs anymore because we're not on that show.
Yeah, we've evolved. Get it?
No,
I didn't.
Oh, thank God.
How do we end these episodes? I forget.
Well,
hey, just Google us.
No, so no.
Oh.
So what we did before is we would pitch and we would get our verdict from our guest, but there is no guest. There's no verdict.
I can do a voice.
We know.
I can do a British one and then midway through just give up on it.
No, I've had enough of that already.
Oh.
So I think, just my final thought is like, The Prestige is a movie that's definitely worth watching.
Illusionist is.
The Illusionist
watch
is
The
fine.
Illusionist.
If you're like at like an Airbnb and you don't have access to like Netflix or something and you're flipping through cable and it's on, watch it. It's fun.
This is one of those things where obviously there's more room for debate. There's more room for response when we're doing a debate of two different movies.
For sure.
Just get on the one of our social media pages and debate us. If you disagree with us, we would love to have you comment.
If you disagree,
I'll probably just write back, no, you're wrong, and that'll be it. But Zach will probably talk to you about it.
I might engage. We'll see.
Yeah. So we want to hear your opinion.
Do you have any closing thoughts on either of these movies that you want to get out before I start wrapping this bad boy up?
Fuck. I mean, I think we pretty much nailed everything. Paul Giamatti fucking is great when he's laughing, when he realizes things. I think that should be in every single movie. Anytime.
Yeah.
Like I was even thinking about like Sideways. I wonder if he did it all then. When he was like he had a good wine, he freaked out.
That's the thing that we should do.
Again.
I've never seen Sideways, but what we should do is we should take the scenes in the train station of Paul Giamatti reacting and put scenes from other Paul Giamatti movies into the flashbacks. That would be very fun.
Yeah.
Anywho.
And then blind me into The Prestige, yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
Thanks for the permission there, buddy.
I got approval from the Prince of Comedy.
Hey, go on and pitch us some shit over there.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I thought you were just texting.
No, I pulled up my notes. You suck.
I know.
Well, thanks for listening this week.
Thanks, everybody.
Tell your friends about us, and be sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. You can find us online at KeystoneCopycats.com. We are at Keystone Copycats on Instagram and Facebook. If you've got something to say, you can email us at KeystoneCopycats@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 513-239-7682. Check out Sinclarity, A Dinosaur's Tale at dinosaurs.gay. And until next time, I'm, of course, Zach, and he, of course, is...
Pretty Chris.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.